Aloha. In this video I try to answer this question: can controlled experiments be out of control? Experimenter control is a fundamental aspect of experimental design. However, strict control in experiments could potentially lead to unintended consequences. Let me briefly explain this basic concept. Experimenter control involves managing and standardizing all extraneous variables or conditions that could influence the dependent variables. For instance, if I want to determine whether students using AI as a personal tutor perform better than those using conventional computerized instruction, I would ensure that all participants take the performance test at the same time and under identical conditions. This helps eliminate external factors that could skew the results. For example, if some students take the test on a sunny day and others on a rainy day, their mood might influence their performance. Similarly, testing some students in a bright room and others in a dimly lit room introduces unequal conditions that could affect the outcome. In essence, experimental control aims to standardize conditions for fairness and consistency. While this approach seems logical, there are instances where strict control can lead to flawed results. The synchrony effect in psychology illustrates how controlling conditions too rigidly can sometimes undermine the validity of an experiment. Early psychological studies suggested that older adults exhibited diminished cognitive performance compared to younger individuals. However, subsequent research identified a significant bias in these findings. The original tests were predominantly administered in the late afternoon, a time when older adults typically experience reduced cognitive alertness. This phenomenon is linked to the natural circadian rhythms of older adults, who often demonstrate peak cognitive performance during morning hours. This phenomenon is known as the synchrony effect. The idea that people perform better when their chronotype, or preferred time of day, is in alignment with the time of day they do the job. A 2014 study conducted by the Rotman Research Institute at Baycrest Health Sciences revealed that older adults tested in the morning not only performed better on demanding cognitive tasks but also activated brain networks responsible for attention and suppressing distractions, similar to younger adults. In 2018, research summarized by the American Psychological Association indicated that older adults performed best at midday, with notable improvements in inhibition, executive function, and long-term memory. These insights led to a reevaluation of earlier conclusions, highlighting that the previously observed cognitive decline in older adults was, in part, an artifact of suboptimal testing times rather than an inherent age-related deficit. In retrospect, those researchers made a mistake by rigidly adhering to traditional textbook experimental guidelines, which emphasize controlling experimental conditions to ensure uniformity across participants. By focusing solely on standardization, such as having all participants perform tasks at the same time of day, the researchers unintentionally introduced a systemic bias into their study. This approach neglected the critical role of individual differences, such as variations in circadian rhythms, which can significantly influence cognitive performance. The mistake lay not in the principle of control itself but in the assumption that a single, controlled, condition, such as late afternoon testing for all participants, would yield unbiased results. While textbook instructions emphasize controlling external factors like time of day, they often fail to account for how these factors might differentially affect specific groups. While standardization is essential, experimental design must be balanced with consideration for group-specific variables. In this case, the time of day is a hidden confounder or confounding variable. A confounder is a variable that influences both the independent variable and the dependent variable in an experiment, creating a false or misleading association between them. It distorts the true relationship being studied, leading to biased results if not accounted for. The synchrony effect acts as a confounder because it impacts the dependent variable, cognitive performance, while being associated with the independent variable, age, potentially leading to biased results. The standard textbook guideline advises researchers to design experiments in a way that prevents confounding. However, this presents a dilemma. A confounder is also known as a lurking variable because it operates in the background, which means behind the scene. The term lurking variable emphasizes that the variable was not initially considered or accounted for in the study design. When confounders are often hidden in the background, how can researchers account for something unknown during the planning phase of an experiment? In real-world research, it's impossible to rule out all confounders. What's essential is transparency about limitations and a commitment to iterative improvement. By acknowledging and addressing hidden confounders as they are discovered, researchers can improve the validity and generalizability of their findings. In scientific fields like psychology and health science, findings often evolve as new research challenges previous understanding. Maintaining intellectual humility and an open mind is crucial for continuous learning and scientific progress. Thank you for watching.